So we're here talking about how to manage classes and about what our dreams are for the children that we serve and all sorts of things. And I know that you've got an enormous amount of experience with kids, so I'm going to ask you a few questions, and hopefully we can use this as a way of training people. Okay, so what made you decide to get involved with LKS?
I heard about it through Miss Levita, and it sounded so exciting, and I wanted something to do with myself, because after I like kids, so when I made the connection, I found this is my glitch. This is where I belong. I felt right at home when I got here, and I love it, and I've been here ever since.
That's great. How many years has that been?
I think this is my 4th year.
Your 4th year, okay. How are kids different from the kids you grew up with? Today's kids different from or similar to the kids that you grew up with?
Well, there's a respect level. When we grew up, it was a plain thing that we lived in a community, and it didn't matter about the adult. If they spoke, the rule was they had the right to correct, even if they weren't always right in their correction. And you, as a child, did not have the right to say they're lying, because that would show disrespect. So we grew up. It was like a community. I lived on a hillside. It was called Purdy's Hill or Vivian Number 1. And it didn't matter where I went on that place. The adults had the right. They knew everybody. So they had the right to tell me what I could and could not do. And along with that, we didn't have the right to stand and dispute or even talk back to an adult. Today, the parents have allowed them, their parents moved away from the way they were raised. And the level of raising has dropped because no longer do the children want to show respect because they've not been taught respect.
Yeah.
And you got to be taught something. You got to have something, so not so much taught, but you got to model something in order for them to learn it.
Yeah. So how do you think we could best model respect?
As an adult, I live like I want my child to live. I talk like I want my child to talk. Even though I know some things, in dealing with my children, I've got to come down to their level. I've got to hear them, what they're saying. I mean, really hear them, not inject my stuff, but ask questions. Well, what can we do? How can we fix this? What's on your mind? What made you do that? Why did you react that way? What happened? I've got to forget about who I am and come down to try to see how I can get that child to come up to what I want, because they have a certain amount of oomph in them that makes them think I can. And they've been taught, can't nobody tell you what you can or can't do. Mama, daddy is the only resource. So you got to figure out a way, because it's a win-win if you can come down and win.
Yeah. What expectations do you think the children have of their teachers at LKS?
I don't know if they have expectations, but then again, they want to see what they can and can't. They want to see how far I can rock your world, tear you apart. Because see, the object is, you're not going to rule me. You're not going to tell me what to do. You're not my mama. You're not my daddy. You're not my caregiver. You don't take care of me. You don't live in my home. So, and I'm here. Some of them are here not because they want to be, but because the parents feel like this is the best place for them. And they want us to do what they have not done because they chose to be a friend and not a parent and a leader.
Okay. So, what do you think the LKS teachers, what kinds of things do you think they could do to help these children?
Mostly you are the educator. You are the educated one. But get yourself in a position where you can humble yourself, is what I'm saying. Humble yourself enough to inquire of that child. And do it in a manner that they will accept you. Don't just, well, look, come on. No, baby, what's going on? Honey, how can I help you? Or even if you know the child's name. How can we fix this? What happened? First of all, what happened? Tell me your side, because everybody got a side. and really listen and really pay attention and hear not just some words, but hear everything that they're saying to you, because you're not just dealing with that child. You're dealing with the spirit that's trying to rule and dominate that child. And most of the time, these spirits are destruction, because that's what they see it on. That's what they see on television. That's what they see in the streets. And we need to show them a more excellent, sweet way. And that's the love of God shown through us, that they can, because see, they'll grab what they can't feel, because they're more spiritual than you think. So they'll grab onto your spirit even if they don't hear what you're saying.
That's profound.
But that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Because if I don't care how big, they know I'm an adult, but I want to get down to where I can talk to you. I want you to know I hear you. Because see, they don't care how much you care. You know until they know how much you care. You can know the world, but if you don't show them that you care, you've already lost the battle. And the battle here at LKS is for us as educators, is to win their heart and their love to God. And my prayer is that they don't see me, but they see the God in me. Because they can relate to that more than they can relate to Miss Sadie. I'm old school. I believe you whip them, you set them down, all of that. But that's gone out of the window. You got to show your love. It's got to be an action thing. We're at the point now where we can't say, do as I say, do. You got to live this thing. You got to walk this thing in love, meekness, and humbleness, and really let yourself down. Because it's not about you anyway. It's about winning this child and letting them see Christ, where they would want to run after him.
That is it. That's what's at stake, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And this, not only is this our future, this is it. Because you got other people, they got their thing, and they're training their kids. You got little kids in the nightclubs, on the stages, doing everything but saying thank you, Lord.
Yep.
And this is what they're raised up in. And then you got the electronics that kind of disconnect you from everything, and you become isolated. And when you become isolated, you are free pickings for whatever spirit that looms around you and that's dominating.
Yeah.
So we want to change the atmosphere that they walk in and put an atmosphere of love and care from God around them.
You know, something I see with the grandmas is that we're, in a small way, recreating that experience of growing up with a lot of adults who do have the authority to require a person to behave, and who are at the same time very caring. And that's what I've seen with this is the village that it takes to raise a child.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I can give you, if you didn't have something when you grew up, and now that you've gotten older, as in my case, I recognize things that I didn't have enough to recognize at first. But as I see things, some of the things that I experienced, I don't want the children to have to go through that. And if one word or one action from me can kind of fix them so that they see it, step over it, and not get hung up on it and go over where they're going, that is my goal. That is my determination. Because they can learn from us, and they don't have to go through what we've gone through, or even experience some of the things that we've experienced. Now, I know they're going to experience some things, because it's through the school of hard knocks, stumbling and falling, and getting up, is that you get that determination. But some things that you can put around them and in them, that when they see some things coming, they won't even taste it. They'll keep going.
Right, right. It's sort of like inoculating them against certain kinds of problems in the future.
Yes.
Helping them to make good decisions.
And if you've never tasted real love, you don't know what real love is. And this is not only with the girls, it's with the boys. I often use this phrase, our young girls give up what they don't want to give up in order to receive what they think they need. And it comes packaged in I love you, you're beautiful, girl, let me. And the women are telling me, man, you are strong, you can do this. And they woo them in with this mess. And it's ultimately, the enemy's ultimate goal is to destroy him. And our ultimate goal is to keep them alive and let them come up knowing that I don't have to settle for what I don't have. Young men, young women, you got children, especially to the men, date your daughters. Teach your daughters what they should look for in a father figure by you setting the example. So when some joker come up, with all this other mess they do, they gonna look at that, they might laugh, they may think it's exciting, but they gonna think, in their mind, nah, that's not it. Young women, teach your sons how to love themselves. It's all right to cry. A man do cry. It's all right to cook. It's all right to clean. A man do them kind of things because it's part of living. Don't let them grow up thinking that a woman does it all and they got to be the king of the castle. You can be king, but work with your subjects.
That's right. That's exactly right.
See, that's the way it is. Because see, back in the day when we was in school, you did no more than what the teacher said do. If she said sit down, you sit down. If she said shut up, you shut up. If she said write, you write. And at that time, they would walk around with a ruler. And if you was pecking on the desk and it was out of order, they didn't tell you to stop. They would just take that ruler and hit you on the hand. You knew to stop. But that's not that given now because they term that today as child abuse. And that is maybe a form of child abuse. But the biggest abuse we suffer is not showing the love, not showing the caring, and not reaching out in a spirit of meek and humbleness. If you reach to me in your power and your authority, I'm going to reject you. But if you come to me in love, I don't care how much authority you got, how much you know, show me that you care. That's right.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
And that's what Miss Linda models.
Yes.
That's what Miss Linda models. When I look at Miss Linda, I see all the things that I should be, but I didn't have this model in front of me growing up. And since I've been grown, it took God bringing me from West Virginia to Columbus, Ohio, a place I never thought I wanted to be. And running into a woman like Miss Linda Slocum and other people that he has surrounded me with to make me realize how great and mighty is he, and that I am a door, I am a vessel that his love can flow through. And that's what we all represent, him, and let him dwell in these vessels and let him flow through us that we can become and help them to follow in our steps.
That's wonderful. That's exactly right.
But that's where it's at.
Yeah, I've seen how children just respond to that love, and to when she walks into a room, how the whole tenor of the room changes because they can sense. You see them straighten up, and at the same time, in the after school program, they would block the door so she couldn't leave.
Wonderful, wonderful. And that's what it means to be able to, who you are as leaders, as educators. You know who you are. You know what you have been gifted to do. But there is something on the inside of each and every one of us that God put there for his glory. And no matter how much education we get, or how much whatever we got, unless we allow the authority of God to rule and reign in us, and we walk in his authority of love and kindness, we can't draw nobody.
That's right. In fact, that's the only authority that counts.
That's it. And that's when you can really say, I'm walking in my authority. Because he said that we were created in his image and in his likeness. And he's Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. We don't always understand how it worked that way. But I'm a spirit, I'm a soul, and I'm a body. He gave me this outer shell to live in, but my spirit is connected with him, from whom all wisdom comes. And until I humble myself and allow him to have priority in me, I can't walk in nobody's authority but the enemy. Because see, no matter, you're going to either do one or the other. You're going to either do right or you're going to do wrong. And I don't care how you dress it up. If it's not of God, it's wrong.
Right. Yeah. That's great. That's great.
And I stand on that.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the babies and I pray to God to change me, because I come from the old school. When you tell a child shut up, they shut up. But you don't even tell a child anymore to shut up unless you want them to go tell somebody else to shut up, because they're going to say it.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do just what they hear you say and do. So that's why it is so important that we model this thing. We don't just talk it, but we show it. It's love in action. Is what it is. It's God in us showing his love and his goodness extended, because see, he didn't save us just for us. He didn't draw us just for us. He's got a world that needs what he wants to give. And we're the gateway. We're the river that's going to flow. And we're going to leave that deposit. You may not think so, but everywhere you go, everywhere you step, you leave a deposit. What is you leaving?
Right. Yeah. And teachers especially have an effect on children.
Yes. Yes. And you may not think they're getting it, but oh boy, they're getting it. You can look at a child. If mama's being abused at home, they will abuse somebody here.
Yeah.
You can look at a child. If mama is being shoved over in a corner and she's turned the whole over and all she do is cry, let somebody raise their voice at that child and they'll draw up and cry. Watch it and you can tell. You can tell. And with the wisdom that God has placed in you and the understanding that God has placed in you, you got the avenue to reach everything that comes across your path, to make a print in their life that will help them to go further than you could ever imagine. That's your authority. That's your given task with God, to make an imprint of him. That thing of the footprints in the sand, at one point he said, well, I only see one set of footprints. But when I look back over my life, the only set of footprints I see that amounted to anything was God carrying me, because I didn't know how. I didn't know how to do it, didn't even know that I wanted to do it, had never been taught, had never been reached. But God allowed people to cross my path, and I gained something from everybody that I've been around. So be careful of the seeds you plant. The seeds you sow will come back. You'll hear about it over the news, on the television, on the radio, even in the newspaper. And they'll say, well, you know, when I was here, there, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so said and done, and that helped me to go. You will, and even if you don't get it here, when you meet the Lord in your spending your eternity, your reward is going to be there to give you for the work you've done down here. Because what you do is not in vain.
That's right. That's right.
And that's where I stand.
It's a good place.
And I want my life to be fruitful when it comes to showing the love of God, talking the love of God. And there are times, have I hit it all the time? No. Have I got everything right? No. But the minute I've asked the Lord, when I'm opening my mouth, if it's not right, send somebody, shut my mouth, and let me do it right. Because once my word go out, I can't take it back. Saying I'm sorry don't erase, because your words can sting, soothe, comfort, or drive away. That's how important your tongue and the words that come out of your mouth.
Yep. That's what the Bible says about it.
Now that's where I am, Miss Carolyn. And I've got a love for God. And I want everybody in the world, especially the children, to see and know that he is alive. Because it's hard to hold on and love something you can't see.
Right.
It's hard. And you don't have to worry about the devil, because his program is painted full bloom, all kind of colors. Fences are in it. He's got something out there to draw everything and everybody. And he plants it in a way that you can't help but look. So we as children of God, we got to be so that what we portray is the true love of God, the true action of God, and talk to them like we want God to deal with us. And I pray that when you listen to this, you hear it with an open mind to hear what the Lord wants to say. Because it's more than what I can say right now. It's deeper than I could even take you. But you got to hear what God is saying to you about the deposit that He made in you. Because see, your giftings and calling were put in you before you were even conceived in your mother's womb. God knew you. He said it's time for you to come forth. And you might think, well, I was in the wrong family. No, God put you where He wanted you to be, because the things you grew up learning, He's going to bless somebody to cross your path that's going to need everything He put in you. Because when He made Adam, everything he needed, He put in Adam. And when the enemy come in, he perverted it. Adam didn't lose nothing, but it came under perversion. Now we are God's child to bring it back home, full circle to where it belongs.
And He gave us the power to do that.
Yes. We have free will.
Yes.
And you decide the choices you make will determine the path you take. So we've got to help our babies. And even some of our old folks choose the right path. Because you'd be surprised to some old folks that don't know about the goodness of God. And some of them will tell you, I've lived like this all my life. It ain't going to do no good now. But I'm a believer that as long as there's breath in the body, you got a chance.
Yep, He keeps us here for a purpose.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, let's see if it worked.
Okay.